Live. I'm your guy, James Owen, with my partner here, Sanders Tisdale. And we're going to start off with the loss to Buffalo last week. Horrific. We called it. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the big win at home against Tampa Bay. It wasn't a big win by score. We won by 2 points, but you know what? We won the game. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Kenny Pickett, his concussion. Will he play against Miami next Sunday, or should he play? We're also going to talk about Kevin Dotson, offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers, receiving death threats. We're going to talk about those crazy fans out there. We're also going to talk about possible trades, maybe Claypool, maybe Cam Hayward. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes when we get back.
Hey guys, like we said, back, Still a Nation Live. We had to take a hiatus last week, and nope, don't even think. I know you guys say, you know what, you guys weren't on last week because you lost. That's not it. The thing is, we weren't on last week because I had things going on, he had things going on. We know how to take a pounding. Hey, I'm a Steeler fan. I've been there since the 70s. I've been there since the 80s. I've been there since the 90s. I've been there in the Todd Blackledge era. I've been there with Bubby Brister. I've been there when, one week we got beat 51-3 by Cleveland, and the next week we got beat 50-something to whatever. I've been through all that. So believe me, I don't let anything like that fret with us with a huge loss that we had against the Buffalo Bills. So we'll talk about that quick because we want to get caught up real quick.
Yeah, like we said, we're a fan. We're huge Steeler fans, but sometimes we're realists. And we knew coming into this matchup with the Buffalo Bills what the outcome's going to be. I said it was going to be 41-10. The score was 38-3. And I think, Sanders, you said it was 41-13 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we basically knew what we were getting into. We had high expectations somewhat that the Pittsburgh Steelers might turn it around, upset the Buffalo Bills. Not at Orchard Park, Ralph Wilson Stadium, New Era, whatever you call them, where they're playing. But we knew going in, the caliber team the Buffalo Bills have right now, running on all facets, special teams, offense, defense, they're just gelling, and that's why they're not yelling. So they have a whole package. And when you have a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who you say are restructuring, rebuilding, I say it's restructuring, Sanders. And even though with the injuries that the Buffalo Bills had, we had them too. But I guess their bench is a lot better than our bench. So with that being said, yes, for all you people out there, Buffalo Bills fans, kudos to you. You have a great team right now, and you keep on winning. You're 5-1. You're top the division, and believe it or not, the New York Football Jets are knocking at your heels. 4-2. The New York Jets, folks. Yes,
yeah,
that is not a mistake. That is not an error here. It is true. Look it up. Fact check if you want. And just talk briefly about the game. It's just from the opening snap with the Buffalo Bills, they just knew what they had to do to win that football game. Sanders, 82-yard touchdown bomb was the first play.
No, 98.
Oh, I'm sorry, 98. Don't want to take any points away, you fantasy people, but that pretty much set the tone of the game, and it could have been a lot worse. But
hey, it is what it is. Like I said, you know what? We went into Buffalo, we lost, and right now, like I said before, a lot of you guys who watch Still a Nation Live, a lot of guys who watch Pittsburgh love the black and gold. The thing about it is you got to recognize it's a phase the Steelers have to fight through. You got a young team on defense. You got a young team on offense. You got young quarterbacks. You got transitional players from the coaching staff to whatever is there on Pittsburgh. But one thing that always never goes away about the Pittsburgh Steelers is those guys will give you a dogfight. Granted, now this Bills game, there was no dogfight, and they got last for that. But you know what? Another week came, any given Sunday, and James, the Pittsburgh Steelers pulled out a huge win in Pittsburgh versus the Bucs versus Brady. Yeah. That's the thing I wanted to say. All
Brady's Bucs,
right?
Brady's Bucs,
huge win.
Yeah, any win's a huge one. We talked it makes a lot of sense. 1 point, 100 points, a win is still a win. But when the Pittsburgh Steelers playing against Tom Brady, the record against them, whatever team he plays on, I think we're 1-3 against the Patriots when he was there throwing the football in New England. But now he's with Tampa Bay and he's running a show. And I tell you, he had a little tirade on the sidelines. And, you know, I don't know why they have to, just point Tom Brady out. I mean, there's tirades on the sidelines all the time. And it looks like we have Jeff Reed calling in right now. We'll talk about this in a second, folks.
Hey, Jeff, I think we got you on the line. Are you there?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Hey, welcome, Jeff Reed, to Steeler Nation Live, a member of our squad here, former Super Bowl champion of the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the best kickers out there during his time. One of the most accurate, highest point, almost so Gary Anderson the most. But anyways, Jeff Reed is on the show right here. Jeff, what's going on? You're a busy man. I know you're traveling all around doing your thing. Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live. What's going on?
Not a whole lot, man. I just got back from Pittsburgh, actually about 2 hours ago, and it was good to. It was fun. The weather was nice. I mean, somehow or another, they beat Tampa. So that was, I know that they're not a bad team, obviously, but, everybody kind of didn't give the Steelers a chance on that one. So that was good to see a victory. Everybody was in good spirits.
Yeah, I wouldn't give Pittsburgh a chance either. I mean, if you're a fan, you're a fan. You always want your team to win. So, Jeff, we know your time is limited, and we just got a couple things to throw at you, bounce off your head. Number one, we want to talk about Kenny Pickett. He got concussed. He was removed from the game. He is somewhat right now passing the concussion protocol. Okay, he hasn't yet practiced yet, but he's been cleared to practice. Now, with what has happened with Miami Dolphins, do you think it would be smart to sit Pickett Sunday against the Dolphins and put Trubisky in there just to give him that extra week of rest? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously concussions are very serious. When we were younger and, your friends get concussed, playing soccer or football or something, you kind of laughed at it and then you didn't realize the severity of it. I don't know, it kind of depends. I mean, it's not like he was carted off on a stretcher. It could have just been a precautionary thing or, and maybe that's why he's going to be practicing and who knows? But I will say this. It's coach's decision. Obviously, Mitch came in and did well, won the game. But, I know Pickett's their guy. I get it. So you want your starter out there as much as possible. But then again, he's fiery. He runs the ball a lot. He doesn't slide too often, so he's going to get hit. So you kind of have to weigh the options there. Tua is scheduled to play against the Steelers. So
right.
I think that's scary as hell. I actually feel for that guy, man. I guess if he bangs his head one more time, I know they have grass in Miami, but it could be the end of his career. So I don't know, man. I guess it all depends on the individual and if they pass the test. I don't know the exact test. I had concussions when I played, but not that I played that long ago, but it has been 12 years. Right. There were guys playing concussed all the time. And I know that doesn't sound like it's a smart idea, but someone as long as they didn't get carted off or, if they're laid out and can't walk, they would shake it off and come back in the next series. That's just, the game's changed and the protocol's changed. And obviously you see these dudes they were huge when I was playing. They're even bigger now. So, I guess it just all depends. It's, I don't even know what the protocol is. They don't ever release that information to the public. So, like I said, it could have been precautionary. And if he would have gone back out there and got hurt, they would be sued and people would be fired and everything else. So everything's a different breed with the game of football these days.
Now, another question. Sorry about that, Sanders. I didn't mean to step over you. Another question for you. Being with the Pittsburgh Steelers, being in the locker room, teams winning at halftime, everything's jubilant, and there's sometimes the team's losing, and there's heated arguments, and players are frustrated with the play. You're not playing well or whatever. Whatever the conversation may be. Now, you've been in the locker room during these situations. Now, rumor has it, and it's all rumor, speculation, that when the Pittsburgh Steelers were playing the New York Jets and halftime, that Deontay Johnson and Trubisky were having a heated discussion in the locker room. And because of that, Trubisky was benched, and that's when Pickett came in. Now, being a former player, you would know better than anybody in that locker room. Would that be any type of motivation for a coach to bench a player such as a quarterback?
I guess it could. I don't see Mitch. He's a competitor, but I don't see him coming to anybody sideways. I would think it would probably be the other way around if that's what really happened. But then again, I know Mitch personally. I don't know Deontay. So I don't know. I can't say one guy's better than the other. It's not fair for me to say. But I will say when you play for an organization, whether you've made the playoffs or you got your butt kicked in the playoffs or you won Super Bowls, it's a franchise that typically wins. And when you're struggling, you try to figure out why the hell can we not win? It doesn't matter if you play the Buffalo Bills, who obviously are dominant, or you play somebody you think is not very good and you lose to them or beat them. If you're used to winning, things get heated. And, the game now, and I'm not speaking for everybody because I was a kicker and I can't speak for receivers and everybody else, but there's a bunch of divas. I think we've talked about this.
Yeah.
And everybody's in it for their stats and for their paychecks. And, if they lose, it's on to the next week. When I was playing, if we lose, it was quiet. I wouldn't say we pointed fingers and cussed each other out or anything like that. Now, there were a couple heated exchanges when that year with Coach Cowher. We were 6-10 right before he retired.
Right.
But, that being said, that was just because we just weren't used to losing. And you're like, okay, it looks like people are quitting. Some guys were not really hurt, but they were on the injury report and told the trainer they weren't dressing. I mean, that's what happens in the NFL. I know that sounds terrible, but I will never call anybody out, but I was in the same training room with people. There was no way in the world somebody was going to tell me to sit out a game unless my leg was not attached to my body.
Right.
Because I was too afraid that I'd lose my job.
Yeah.
It's not because I don't think I'm good and don't know I'm good. It's because if I miss one game, another guy kicks, goes 5 for 5. They're going to say, "See you later, Jeff. Thanks for everything." It's a cutthroat business.
Exactly.
But there were guys that were cleared to play that sat out of 2 or 3 extra weeks because the person that filled in for them was doing well and they kind of lost their starting role. So that being said, it's terrible, but that's what happens when you have money and investments involved. So it's not like that in college. Everybody wants to win the national championship in college, at least you would think. Now there's guys getting paid for name, image, likeness, so maybe it's changed a little bit too. But for the most part, that's why we were so successful in Pittsburgh. I would say my first 5 years, regardless of the record, we won 2 Super Bowls, or actually my first 6 years, because it was like a college team. You had married guys with kids that were pushing 30 years old. You had people like me, 22 years old, don't even have my feet wet, kicking for a Super Bowl caliber team. But everybody did stuff together. Everybody, the older players, the established veterans, the captains prior to me, I always hung out with the practice squad guys because it was a mutual respect for what they're doing, and they get no credit for anything. And then there were people like Aaron Smith. There were people like Josh Miller. Those guys inviting us over to eat dinner at their houses.
Wow.
That's what kept our team so tight. There wasn't a whole lot of animosity. If somebody screwed up, you had each other's backs. I mean, there was some finger pointing here and there, like I said, but it was very rare.
It happens.
The way the league is now, I just feel like, I'm not saying everybody because that's not fair to say,
Right.
But I would say the majority of people are in it for their own stats and for a paycheck, and it's sad. It's sad to watch at times.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to talk to you about too, and I got a couple questions in to get you out of here. But the fact is that a lot of the fans out there, the knee jerk reactions. A lot of the fans are not used to losing, and you said it. We've been winning since you've been there, brother. I mean, probably even a little before you got there, but the Steelers were like winning, and people now they're not used to it. They're not used to any type of disruption that gets that team under 500. And Jeff, I don't know about you, but a lot of people can't examine or get through the fact that the Steelers are somewhat in a rebuilding phase, but being competitive, Jeff.
Yeah, you don't ever, like I said, when you're used to winning, or in general you're used to winning. I mean, obviously a franchise that has 6 Super Bowls, which right there is a winning formula. Look at the Packers. I mean, I know we're not talking about them, but look at them. I mean,
right.
They're not that good, but their fans can't accept that.
Right.
You're like, what the hell's going on? And that's the same with Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's right. I mean, like you just it's just hard to accept rebuilding as a term. And obviously it is. I mean, you just had a quarterback retire after 18 seasons, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody's going to step in unless it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, look at Russell Wilson.
Right.
I'm not dogging him because he's always been one of my favorites to watch, but he can't get it together. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if his head's not in it. I don't know what's wrong. But Denver thought they were getting a home run hitter where they're going to be in the Super Bowl and they can't win a game. So,
yeah,
you got both sides of that. So I think Mitch was a great fill-in. I'm a big fan of Mitch. I don't think he's a world beater, but I also know they drafted Pickett to play, and that's what you see now. So they don't accept rebuilding as a term in that city and that fan base, but that's okay. They still want to win every game. They still think they're going to win a Super Bowl every week until they're eliminated from the playoffs, and that's a great mindset.
Well,
I mean, I have friends that tell me every week, because even though I played for Pittsburgh, I was born in Kansas City, and I do love watching Mahomes, and I am a fan of theirs. I know people don't like to hear that, but that was where I was born. So, I cheer for both teams, and they're like, oh, Pittsburgh is going to go further than Kansas City. Now, could they? Absolutely. I mean, if you had to bet on that, you're probably not going to bet that. No. So, it's just one of those things where rebuilding is. I see exactly what you're saying, but it's tough for a winning fan base and franchise to accept rebuilding. They're talking about fire this guy, fire everybody, get rid of them all. Okay, what's that going to do? Not to say I'm defending everybody's play calls and this and that. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I went against Buffalo. I saw people quit. I was literally watching the game on TV, and there were people quitting. And the only person that didn't quit was a young quarterback. He was fighting till the end, literally.
Yeah.
So, and that was fun to watch. And so it's just it's a different league, and you would hate to see so much talent go to waste. Well, I mean, if you look at their team on paper, I know TJ's not playing just yet, but they're not a bad team.
No, far from it.
It's just the other teams, like the Jets, all of a sudden they believe in themselves, so now they think they're going to win every game. That's a scary team.
Yep.
Then you got people like Green Bay. They think they're going to show up and win. Obviously, Aaron's got to get his team together, or they're not going to even make the playoffs. In Buffalo, they fight every week. I mean, they could have easily been undefeated. Look at Philly.
Right.
I mean, before the preseason even started, I picked Buffalo and Philly in the Super Bowl. Now,
who else?
I'm not giving myself too much credit because it's early.
No, Sanders.
Huh?
We could replay our show not too long ago after the first game. What did I say, Sanders? What did I say?
Yeah.
I said, I know after the first game we had a little thing. Jeff said, just for what you see now, who do you think is going to make? I know it's the first game. Who do you think is going to make it to the Super Bowl, Jeff? I said the same thing. Eagles and the Bills. Eagles and the Bills.
Yep. And I said I would. I love Josh Allen. I've never been a Bills fan. I have a bunch of friends that are Bills fans, but I love watching him play.
Yeah,
he truly cares. and you know, he deserves every dollar he makes.
He's got that thing called
I don't
heart.
know why I thought Philly was going to be. That's right, and it's rare to find that. And you know, I don't know why I thought Philly. It just popped in my head before the preseason even started. I'm going to take an underdog, and I'm going to take the one that most people think will make it in Buffalo. I mean, some people were saying the Rams. I'm like, they don't have a chance, man. I can just tell. I can just tell watching them play, they're not going to win anything.
I think we have a better
Super Bowl,
chance.
they're chilling.
I think the Steelers have a better chance to get to the Super Bowl than the Rams. But Jeff, before we let you go, one more thing. You've seen both sides of the fall, Jeff. Yeah. You're a player for many years, and you're a fan. Now, the latest deal with Kevin Dotson, death threats, and I guess it centers around his.
I'm pretty close with his parents too. So I saw that. That was terrible.
Yeah. So his inability to protect the quarterback is what the drive is from these fans. Now, I'm a big fan. Sanders is a huge fan. You're a huge fan. Heck, you played for the damn Steelers. I mean, at what point as a fan do you take it too far? I mean, we all want to win, but Jeff, what can we say? What can we do about this? At what point is enough enough about these fans?
Yeah, I don't. I got death threats when we would lose the game by 14 and I missed a field goal in the first quarter. So I don't. You know, last time I checked, there's no 14-point field goals. You know,
Canada.
But I mean, I'm serious. Like people would throw. Yeah, maybe I don't know, but people would throw rocks at my townhouse. You know, my sister was nervous. Yeah, like I mean, it wasn't very often because I usually did pretty well, or you know, but I mean I don't know who these people were. I wasn't going outside and getting any shit. But the one thing I will say is, I mean, they take it serious, which is a great thing. But stuff like that, I mean, the offensive lineman got 3 penalties. Okay, well, who cares? You won the game, and the dude's fighting, trying to protect his quarterback and his running backs. I mean, it's a penalty. You know, he didn't go and punch fans. I mean, you know, it's football. Yeah. And in the game of football, and I don't want to downplay it like it's not a big deal because it is in that city, and it is in a lot of cities. But the game of football does not determine life and death.
No,
it's a game.
No.
And I don't know who these people are, and you know, I hope there wasn't race involved. Who knows? But I don't know who these people are that do this. But they need to get a life, and they need to focus on something that's going to make them happy because it shouldn't be whether or not an NFL team wins or loses or a guy gets penalties, you know, because that's just the way the world is now. We kind of need to learn how to be on the same page. And obviously in your profession, you know that.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to find people on the same page. And there's always controversy. Doesn't matter what the statement is or what, you know, the bottom line is, man, there's just no room in that. And I don't care if somebody plays pathetic. That doesn't mean they're throwing the game or they didn't try hard. You know, I know that it seems like in a lot of these games, college, pros, NBA, even all that stuff, it seems like the games are fixed. I mean, trust me, I watch it and I'm like, there's no way that happened. But I don't know that. I played the game and I didn't fix a thing. So I got accused back when I was playing, which was one of the reasons on my way out the door of missing a field goal on purpose. I have too much pride for that.
Right.
And that's what the media accused me of. The fans, whatever. I mean, they pay to watch you play. I love 99.9% of them. That 0.1%, it gets a little rough sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd much rather hear the 99.9 that still love me to this day. So I think that's a little bit aggressive. I think it's a little ridiculous because in the end, a lot of people deal with a lot of things in life, and they're a lot more important than a game of football. But it is a job, and everybody wants you to do perfect. And people that screw up on a daily basis, they just don't happen to be on TV.
Well said. Well said, brother. Jeff, before you go, give us a score on the Sunday night game versus the Miami Dolphins.
That could be interesting because you got a really solid defense in Miami, but they've been struggling, obviously. And then you have, I don't know who's playing quarterback. What it says when you're looking at the news, which could or could not be right, is Pickett versus Tua.
Right.
If that's the case, I think it's going to be low scoring, and it's going to be a 13-10. Let's just say because the Steelers got a victory, I'll take them 13-10. hopefully they're not looking forward to their matchup with Philly and worried about that one too much because they need to focus on this week.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's beautiful.
Hey, Jeff, like you said, brother, much appreciation to you. Like always, you come on, you give us much insight, and you give us a lot of thought-provoking stuff, brother.
Knowledge.
Hey, and like we said, we appreciate you. And it's coming from one of the guys who was out there doing it. So much appreciation again there, brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys always having me on too, man.
You're the best, Jeff.
All right. Take care.
All right. We'll talk to you next week here on Steeler Nation Live. Folks, wow. If you just tuned in, just missed one hell of a person, one hell of a NFL player, former kicker, and Super Bowl champion, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jeff Reed, who's part of his team. So Sanders, let's talk about this big win at home. Not too much frills going on. I mean, we got the job done, and still, you want to talk about when can you ever sit down and watch a Steeler game and relax and enjoy it? I mean, the final 6 minutes of that game, I mean, Trubisky was like, he orchestrated it. I mean, he was a leader, and luck helps. I mean, there were a couple plays, a couple penalties by Tampa Bay, and the way Trubisky stayed in there, it was almost Roethlisberger-esque. I mean, he did not falter. He did not. But like I said, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But he got the job done, and that's what we need. And in whether you win by 2 points or 200 points, it's still a win. Your thoughts?
Well, like I said, I believe that Trubisky, I don't know. Hopefully something wakes him up. Do I believe that Kenny Pickett is going to be the guy starting next week? Right now, it kind of tends to be that way. But if he has a concussion and the Steelers are serious about letting him be the main man for them for umpteen years to come, don't just rush him back out there and call it what you want. What you want to. It's a rebuilding year. I mean, you got to get by it. I know you said don't say rebuilding, and Jeff said the same thing. Restructuring, reframing, restacking, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Restocking.
But the fact is that the Steelers have to get in their mind that if this is going to be their quarterback of the future, then you know what? Let him sit out another game. Trubisky, let him start again. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but let him start again, start another game, see how it goes. But like you said, James, there's a lot of ramifications that goes into that. The fact that, how well is he and Deontay Johnson getting along? And we talked offline a little bit about that before, that I'm not the biggest fan of Deontay Johnson. And number one, this guy proclaims himself, he wants to be this number one receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the guy can only catch 50 to 40% of the balls that's thrown to him, even if it's 5-yard drops. That's the thing that disgusts me about him. And I'm still hurting from the playoff game versus the Kansas City Chiefs, where the Steelers could have possibly went up by more points in that game. And he drops a Roethlisberger pass, 5-yard inside route, and he drops it, and that stalled that drive. And he did it again against the New York Jets with Trubisky in there. He dropped a nice pass from Trubisky in the end zone, couldn't get his feet down. Things happens, but then he drops another pass that led to an interception. So now, after saying all that, Deontay Johnson has the audacity to come inside the locker room and say, "Throw me the ball." And I would look at him, and I'm like, for what? You want me to burn my arm up on a guy who can't catch?
Right. Maybe he thinks dropping passes is a good statistic. I don't know. But Deontay Johnson is the type of receiver that he'll catch something you unexpectedly, almost like the Pickens catch, not that extravagant or that wonderful, but he'll come down with some catches where you're like, scratch your head. Wow. How did he come up with that?
Right.
And then, like you're saying, 5-yard cross, he'll just drop it through his hand, or, down, do a curl and, go off his hands, interception. I mean, yeah, give me the ball. That's a great attitude to have. But, there's other people on that team, and Claypool's right behind him with the same thing. Claypool climb a ladder to get a football. And as of late, he's not been as confrontational with the defenders as far as, winning that fight to get the football. And there has been talk about a possible trade before the trade deadline. And that would net us possibly a 4th and a 6th rounder next year. And we if we're going to, we have to, get rid of him while his production is somewhat reasonable to acquire some draft picks for next year. It's not like he's going out there and, doing a miraculous job. Granted, he was a top receiver against the Buccaneers, but somebody's got to come down with that football. You know what I mean?
Hey, guys, I'm looking at guys right on the board in different locations, but some of them was funny, so I'm going to read some of them. Carl Colangelo, he said Deontay is a number 2 receiver, which I totally agree. Shouldn't have got paid the number 1 money. And he says he's Pedal Stone from the movie The Replacements, with stone hands.
Yep.
And also Eddie Harris. He said YAD, yards after the drop.
That boy good.
Ooh, man. Yeah, we got to get that one in.
That boy is good. Yeah. Anyway, folks, call into the show 585-210-3917. That is 585-210-3917. We want to hear your call. We want to hear your take. We want to hear your opinion, your thoughts of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Should we or should we not start Kenny Pickett Sunday against the Dolphins? I'm against it. If Pickett was doing some astronomical numbers way above and beyond Trubisky, and this is the time you got to strike with it iron's hot and try and get us another victory, pull us within one game of 500. But, Trubisky's not doing that bad of a job. He got the job done coming in relief last week against the Buccaneers, but he's not really doing that bad of a job. And Pickett's not doing that great of a job. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes. But taking everything in consideration, his health, his future, he is supposed to be our future quarterback. And with the way concussions are, the way these doctors are pushing players to get back into the game, look at Miami's situation. We do not want or need that situation here in the city of Pittsburgh. So my thoughts are to rest him. He'll pass the concussion protocol. Understand. Doesn't mean we have to force him back in. Now, if we end up losing, we're 2-5. Season's not looking that great anymore. It's going down. We need that spark. Maybe even put Mason Rudolph in. Who knows at this point? But Kenny Pickett is our future. And we have to protect him.
But like we said, we talked offline as well. And I agree with what you just said. But the fact is that the Steelers are right now, that might be one of the guys on a trading block that the Steelers are looking for. They're still looking out there. They're trying to trade. I believe they're trying to trade the quarterback.
Trubisky?
No, not Trubisky. Rudolph.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're on the edge of thinking of possibly getting rid of Rudolph. And should I agree with it? Not really. But the thing about it is that
he's been there long enough, and you
got to get him while he's somewhat tradable, I think. Because if he goes in there and he chokes and he has bad games, then you guys are done. We're done.
You're like a used car salesman. I got you. Sell it before they test drive it. Got you. Go based on what the car did before it was brought to your lot. Gotcha. You're a good man there, Sanders. Hey, I hear you. But it's a business. And absolutely, if you want to roll the dice and get Mason Rudolph, or we could possibly get a 4th or 5th round for him, I say do it. There's a lot of, free agent veteran quarterbacks out there who we can, sign to the practice squad. And in case, Trubisky gets hurt and Pickett gets hurt again and whatnot. Ryan Fitzpatrick is still, he's doing that great commentating. I mean, he would not, I don't think he'd pass up an opportunity to play in the city of Pittsburgh. That's one of the teams he hasn't played for. So let's go for it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's a veteran. He's got talent. He's one of those guys. He'll fight for you, man. He's look at his record. Look at his stats. What's going on with Ryan Fitzpatrick, But
hey, guys out there, right? They said trade him as is.
Trade him as is.
like a used car. And it's, Carl says Rudolph is brutal.
No. Well,
no, I mean, like, I agree with you guys only to a certain extent. But I do believe Rudolph is not the worst thing out there. Do I want him starting? Do I think he's the long-term answer? No. But I do know he is not technically horrific.
No.
But during a long stretch, maybe. Just like who we just had now for the Steelers, Trubisky. Yeah. Trubisky. He's not horrible, but do I think he can be a guy that's going to be there for the long stretch? I don't think so. Can he be a guy that might come in and fill in and do some things? If the reins are taken off him, I agree. Trubisky might be. Maybe that's what happened last week. I mean, because the Trubisky I see him coming in that game versus the Tampa Bay Bucs. What's Trubisky numbers? 9-12 for 144 yards. He came in there. I was getting ready to turn the TV off when I looked and I seen him on there. So I'll be straight honest.
Tell like it is.
But when I seen the way he was firing the ball, I mean, this guy was backing up and straight darts for third and longs. Third and longs, this guy was completing.
Shocking.
And he's the only quarterback in Pittsburgh that has passed a touchdown pass to a wide receiver. Mitch Trubisky did that. Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat right there. We had 8 touchdowns to start the season, and not one was to a wide receiver. And also, if you're writing these crazy stats at home, that Pittsburgh's opening drive against Tampa Bay was the first opening drive touchdown against since Chuck Noll was called. I can't remember the last time the Steelers opened up a game having the ball in first drive, scoring an actual touchdown. And Steve Sims comes in, kick return, punt return, almost ran a kickback for a touchdown, and no penalties on
huge.
Special teams. I think
that was the biggest play to me.
Right.
Get that kick returner who we got from New England out of there.
But I think what's more amazing about that run is no penalties. I mean, who knew? I mean, folks at home, you're Steeler fans, you know about special teams. We do something good. Usually there's laundry on the field and we're bringing it back. But Olszewski, I get you. He was a diamond in the rough, and there's a reason why he bounced around from team to team. Like Jeff Reed said earlier, sometimes you get that spark. You know what I mean? That you feel like you could win, and once you do something good, and you feed off of it. And if you're not doing something good, you're not going to feed off of it. And I think that's what happened with Olszewski. I mean, nobody covered him. Nobody threw the ball to him. He's wide open all the time. He had opportunities to return punts, kicks. And when you're not, utilizing that time, somebody else is going to step up and try and do it. And Steve Sims, he proved himself in preseason, and now he's doing it regular season. And we hope he keeps it up. And Presley Harvin doing that punting thing back there. I mean, he's averaging 48, 49 yards a punt this season. I mean, special teams, Boz, he's kicking it. It's just special teams is starting to come around, but hopefully we'll get that offense generated. And
well, that's one of the main things. The offense is the thing that needs to be generated for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said, Jeff Reed said, there's a lot of games out there that the Steelers, they got a tough schedule no matter which way we look at it. You got these guys we're going down to Miami this week, and they got to beat the Dolphins. That's a huge game for the Steelers. Forget the Eagles. The Eagles are out there. The Eagles are undefeated. I don't even want to think about them.
One game at a time.
Right. One game at a time. Jeff said it. Steelers focus on Sunday night versus possibly Tua, which I can't believe that he's still playing for the Miami Dolphins after that whole fiasco. And I can't believe that he's still playing football this year.
I bet you can't even spell his name.
But exactly.
I can't even say
football,
it.
so they put him back out there, which is unbelievable.
Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's pretty much about as close as you're going to get, folks.
And guys, I don't know if you caught last week's game. The fact is that we had an expert on the show who deals with concussions, deals with the cognitive biases of the mind and everything. She is very deep, and like I said, she knows it. She's a fantasy guru out there. She writes for Yahoo Sports and everything like that.
Renee Miller.
Yeah, Renee Miller. She was on her show. So she was on the show last week or the week before. But the thing about it is that she talked about it. She spoke on the fact of Tua, the hand movements, west side, whatever he was doing. She spoke on that and the damage that looked like it did to his brain, his body, his brain, and he's back out there. He flew home with the team.
Right. And the thing about that is, folks, when you have any kind of damage to the brain, that's irreversible. It's nothing that, it will heal up, but the damage that is done to your brain cells or the injury to the skull or whatnot. I play doctor on TV, so I have a little knowledge about this.
Not a good one, though.
No, that's all right, though. Screw you. That once the damage is done, it's irreversible. You can't change it. So you have to be very cautious when it comes to concussions. And like Jeff alluded earlier when he was on the show talking about concussions back in the day, you got some smelling salts. You went back in the game because nobody understood the damage that was being caused by that. And plus with the training now, the technology now, the faster, the stronger, even though the players aren't as huge as they were back in the day, they're more versatile, more hybrid, that less is more, that they're packed tighter, not bigger, as bulky. So they go faster and hit harder. And even every year they try to come up with safer equipment, but the more you train about being faster and hitting harder, you can't keep up with the technology as far as safety. So you have to do your best you can. You got to be cautious. Anything that has to do with the head, neck, and back, you have to be very cautious with that. And that's why I'm, overemphasizing the fact that Pickett should not start on Sunday, even though it's a late game.
Well, I mean, Pickett shouldn't. Here's Joe Spano wrote on the board. He said, "Put on a Mark Kelso helmet."
For all you folks out there, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, some of you guys who will know who Mark Kelso is. Some of you younger guys, Mark
Google
Kelso,
it.
He used to play football for the Buffalo Bills, and he would have this helmet on that looked like something from the Flintstones,
like Kazoo.
Yeah.
Remember Kazoo, that alien?
The younger guys don't even know who Kazoo is.
Because we're old, so we have to go with what we know. So, folks, Google Kelso, Google Kazoo or whatever his name from the Flintstones, that green alien with the big ass helmet head, and you'll see exactly what Joe Spano was talking about. Yeah, I would like to see that. Or the Scott Norwood or the Gary Anderson single bar face mask. I think those are banned in many states now, even up in Canada and down in Mexico. I don't know.
One thing, guys, before we get to our picks, our final picks for the game versus Sunday night versus the Miami Dolphins, let's talk about the end of that game where the Steelers versus the Bucs, and the fact of, I don't know if a lot of you guys out there, we got to talk about him, because he makes me feel so happy to see him on the losing side. Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady. What did he do? He yelled at his whole lineman.
He's a very passionate player.
He yelled at his lineman, and gave some kind of essence of like, I didn't leave my wife. I didn't, leave.
I didn't leave my family for you guys to play like shit.
Yeah, that's basically what he said. That's basically what he said to his lineman. Now, would you come out there and block for a guy talking to you like that? And I don't get me wrong, he's a GOAT. He's the greatest one out there to do it. A lot of people would differ because I think he was given a couple titles, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. He phenomenal comeback versus the Atlanta Falcons. But
listen,
for you, not to me, for you to have the gall to be in this game, in this dogfight, no, it doesn't matter. Any given Sunday, it's a movie. And it's a movie for a reason, because any given Sunday, a team with the record of Pittsburgh, down in the dumps, 1-4 at that moment, came out there to play. We know it. How many times has the Steelers been through this to where we played down to the level of lesser teams? It is what it is. It's the NFL.
All the time.
Those guys get bulletin board material every week. They try to find it to hype these guys up. When you're losing, you got nothing else to look forward to but up. And the fact is that the Steelers, that's what they did that day. They came out there, they played full throttle on both sides of the ball. The offense, it is what it is, but the offense did enough to win. The defense played lights out. And James, the fact is, this guy's talking to his offensive line that protects him, basically telling these guys, you're garbage in other ways.
Yeah.
And saying, I wasted my time coming out here and doing this.
Yeah. I think his wife is going to leave him either he played or not. I mean, who knows what's going behind closed doors, what happens. But I'll tell you what, if I'm busting my ass as his lineman and he comes at me with that, guess who's going to miss a couple blocking assignments? I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly.
Oops.
Exactly. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I see you guys writing on the board, say Brady and Rodgers don't look happy. That's what Carl says, and I agree with you 100%. He doesn't look happy. I don't feel any way sad for Rodgers, because Rodgers had a top-level receiver who could not get paid.
Well, Rodgers from State Farm. Well, I got to tell you, if you want to see his interview, you could see the somberness in him. He didn't make any excuses. He didn't make up any stories. He answered questions. He wasn't an a-hole. I mean, look at his press conference after the game. He told totally like it was. And what was really funny was how the reporters are trying to trip him up, trying to get him angry, pushing his buttons, and he just level-headedly, you know, I mean, what are they, 2-4 the Packers? They're not doing that great. And how can they do that when you take all their weapons away? Oh, we got Aaron Rodgers. You can throw it to anybody. No, you can't. It takes time. Like we're restructuring with Pickens coming up. This guy is a beast, and he's not going to unleash the beast this early in his career. He's going to take steps, and down the line, he's going to be the number one wide receiver. But Aaron Rodgers, a lot of respect for that guy. I mean, he got a different haircut, I guess. You know what I mean? But just really to these reporters ask the dumbest questions. And I'm sitting here watching this like, why can't me and Sanders be there asking real questions insteed of this BS stuff today? But that's a different story, different day.
Oh, we had some more questions on the board. I'm going to fill some of these tonight. Joe Spano, good question. When is Watt returning?
Watt will return after the bye. They're saying he could be available before the bye, and if so, I would wait till after the bye to make sure that he is 100% healthy. And the Steelers are, I think they're 1-8 in the past 9 games without TJ Watt, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That we're 0-7, and then we come in there and then with TJ Watt, so we can win without him. It is possible, folks, if you're listening out there.
This is our first win without him, though.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you got to get off that mental crazy train and figure out there are other players on that team who can play. Highsmith and we lost to Marvin Leal, who lost him for a couple weeks, and Loudermilk is in there trying to do his best. And
the fact of the matter is, a lot of it has to do with injuries for the Steelers, and there are a lot of huge injuries, especially like we said with Watt going out. And I believe after the bye, there should be a lot of return of a lot of Steeler players that are out of injury. Remember, now we didn't have a majority of the secondary.
No,
and to be honest,
had no secondary. You guys I didn't even heard of.
Yeah, and to be honest, they played a lot better. But the thing about it is, there's all the injuries that the Steelers are going through. Carl, he said, is Leal out for the year?
No, he is out 4 to 6 weeks. He'll be back after the bye, hopefully, but he is not out for the season.
Yeah, I like that. Look at you. Look at that. Nice answer. Right on the money.
Right on the money. Hey, Steeler Nation Live is no joke, folks. We have our spotters out there. We have our great sources that contact us and give us information, and we just send it to you, folks. Call in 585-210-3917. Don't be scared. Tiz won't bite.
Hey, and also want to give a shout out Eddie Harris. He said the Steelers played hard in the trenches. Brady must understand the defensive front was outplayed the Bucs, and I agree with that. They did. The Steelers' defensive front outplayed the Bucs. They gave constant pressure. And how many times have I said this? Many shows before. The way that you beat Brady is constant pressure.
Right.
And the only team that seemed to ever had figured it out was the New York Giants.
Yes.
The New York Giants figured it out in the biggest games. Constant pressure up the middle. He can't step into his throws. He gets disrupted, and he's not a guy that throws on the run. So what else he got left?
Right. He's the guy who steps up out of the pocket. He doesn't roll out. And if you could get that, contain that pressure, and what the Steelers did defensively, I was a little impressed. But still, a game plan is a game plan. You have to act it out. So what Steelers did was put 4 on the front pressure, and they brought 7 guys back. So that did help the Pittsburgh Steelers as far as defensively, one-on-ones. And Chris Godwin, he was not existent early in the first half. Second half, he started to pick up, and that's because of, guys get tired. And like you said, we had 2 safeties and 2 corners that were from the bench, and like we said, like I told you before the game, hey Tez, you never know, they might even be better because our starters were playing like shit. So maybe these guys will come in and do something different. And it all depends, like you said, any given Sunday. As long as we got pressure on Brady, which we did, 4 men front, 7 guys back, it usually doesn't work out because the man-to-man with the Steelers they're better zone coverage team because we got a lot of hybrid corners and linebackers. So with that being said, you called it, pressure on Brady. He can't handle it, and he gets frustrated, and he's yelling at. I'm surprised he didn't call up his soon-to-be ex-wife and yell at her and the kids. He's yelling at everybody. I don't know.
Boy. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Hey guys, like we said, also make sure you check us out at our website. That's gonna be revamped, going through www.steelernationlive.net. Make sure we're streaming on all the different outlets: YouTube, TuneIn Radio, Facebook, you name it. We're out there. Twitter, we're all out there. Steeler Nation Live, and we got the best. We got Steeler players that have been on the show, many of them. And like we said, we're still in the midst of trying to get some other huge guys on the show for you guys. Also, I wanted to talk about the fact that the Steelers right now, they're playing everybody from out of Buffalo's division, and Buffalo has a kind of a rough shot division right now. The Buffalo Bills leading that division at 5-1. The Jets, like he said, tough Jets, 4-2.
Jets, Jets.
We should have beat the Jets, but hey,
we should have beat a lot of teams.
Exactly.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
The Dolphins and the Patriots both tied at 3-3. And these are actually good teams right now, 3-3.
Very good teams.
The New England Patriots, well, so far the Steelers,
we should have beat them too.
The Steelers have lost to everybody in that division so far. We lost to the Patriots, we lost to the Jets, we lost to the Bills.
Yep.
And
let's make
Sunday,
it a sweep, huh?
We got the Miami Dolphins. Can the Pittsburgh Steelers break that streak?
The losing stops here.
Guys, on the board, give us a score for the game.
Squish the
Pittsburgh
fish.
Steelers playing the New England. We already did that. Playing the Miami Dolphins in Miami. James, give us a score on that game.
But before I give a score, Sanders, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Pittsburgh Owen. I want to do this at the beginning of the show. He's just recovering from some surgery. Don't want to get too into it, HIPAA, but we want to give a shout out to Pittsburgh Owen. Hope you have a speedy, healthy, safe recovery, and keep us updated what's going on. Hope you're feeling better across the pond there, buddy. Have a pint for us, and we just want to let you know that we're thinking about you. We're sharing a little prayers for you, and hopefully a speedy recovery.
Yeah, guys, check him out. He's been on the show as well. Pittsburgh Owen, he does it huge out there in Britain, and that's how big the Steeler Nation goes. This guy is phenomenal out there, he does it daily updates, everything he does out there. One of the best ones out there to do it. So make sure you check him out. Pittsburgh Owen out there.
YouTube, all the avenues, Instagram, whatever they got out there, Twitter. Look him up, Pittsburgh Owen. It's a great show. I mean, he's got a lot of good guests on the show. He's a great guy. He was on our show a couple weeks ago. Fantastic. He's amazing. You guys should check it out. He's got a great show. Very informative. Not as informative as Steeler Nation Live. Go to our website, like you said, Sanders, www.steelernationlive.net. Check us out. YouTube, Steeler Nation Live 201. Search us for all our past shows to catch up. And if you got some binge watching to do, you want to see how we are, go back and check out our shows, our guests that we had on the show. It's amazing. All right, getting back to the game, Sanders. You know what? I'm really, really hopeful, wishful. I'm going with my heart, not with my head, because we really need this victory. I'm saying Pittsburgh 21-17. You know what? I'm going to say Boz kicks another field goal. 24-17. Pittsburgh wins this one. It's going to start off slow, low scoring game, and then we're going to turn up the heat in the second half. 24-17. Pittsburgh win this game. Like I said, going with my heart, not with my head, because we really, really need this win.
Well, I agree with you. It's a huge win. The Steelers know they need it. But the thing about it is people are starting to get healthy and they will start to return. But the fact is the Steelers have that same mindset they took against the Tampa Bay Bucs. They got to bring it here. And that means the Steelers got to stay focused. That front, like they all said, like guys writing on the board, that front has to be giving pressure. Now, if they give pressure, it doesn't matter who's in the game. I believe Tua can fold under the pressure. And I believe their backup, Bridgewater, can fold under the pressure. Now, do I want to play Bridgewater? I've seen Bridgewater play some phenomenal games, to be honest. I've seen Bridgewater try to come up huge in some games. Just because he chokes here and there are a lot of quarterbacks out there that does that. But the fact is, can the Steelers not play down to that level? And I think the Steelers might be able to pull this game out. I'm giving it like a 28-24 game. And the Steelers finally find some way to get that offense working. Finally find some way to get, because I believe the offensive line, as bad as people say they are, I believe from time to time, if given at the correct moment, they can do some things. They can, and they've shown that they can block, at least for the quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's not that bad of an issue. Yeah. Will they give up some sacks? Yeah, they will. But they've showed that during the progress of a game, they can play well. Even against the Buffalo Bills, the young quarterback was fighting, but he was given time at times to throw that ball. And that was with Von Miller rushing on the other side.
Right. What's scary to me is that receiving core in Miami. And we all know that Tyreek Hill is a new addition to the Miami Dolphins. And we got Waddle down there too. So there's a lot of guys, a plethora of wide receivers down there in Miami. And that's going to be, tough for us. We had a hard time against Kansas City trying to contain Tyreek Hill. But also they had Kelsey and they had a lot of other wide receivers out there. Too many to mention for the Kansas City Chiefs. But, with this offensive scheme, I'm pretty sure it's different than Kansas City. But still, Tyreek Hill is a menace. This guy is amazing. He reminds me of Kevin Hart. And he's really hard to contain. And don't be surprised if Miami comes out first play when they get the ball and they do just Tyreek, just go. And I'm going to throw the ball up. And like how we got burned against the Bills for a 98-yard touchdown first play of the game. So don't be surprised if you see that against Miami. And I hope that we have some kind of defensive scheme to counter that.
Well, like I said, the main thing I think it is pressure. Joe Spanos gives a score of 30-17. Miami with a win. And Eddie Harris, I think he gave a score of 27-16. Miami win. And these are all possible scores. And I give them much kudos on that because, like you just pointed out, they have two good receivers. And the Steelers have to control it. And the only way you can control it is by pressure.
Yeah.
Because you got to make these guys throw errant throws, and you got to be around that neighborhood to pick them off. So if the Steelers can do that, they have a great chance of winning this game. And James, I believe the Steelers can win this game. Going into the huge game versus the Eagles, that's going to be the monster game as well. But every Sunday counts, and Steelers right now, I think it's going to start with this Sunday versus the Miami Dolphins.
But I got to tell you though, Sanders, playing the Philadelphia Eagles, we're Steeler fans. We love our team. I would not want to play us if I was the Philadelphia Eagles and you're still undefeated, because we have everything to win, nothing to lose. And when you play teams like that, and we've lost to teams like that as well, when we're obviously a better team with a better record, we play down to the level. And hopefully that will be the case, because now once you're thinking you have nothing to lose, everything to win, now you're playing on a different perspective, a different field, different atmosphere. And that's how you win games.
I agree. Hey, guys, like we said, another show in the book here on Steeler Nation Live. Your boy Sanders Tisdale.
James Owen.
We put it in the books for you guys. Make sure you check us out every week. We're here Tuesday night, 6 to 7. All here for you. And we want to also thank to our caller, Jeff Reed, calling in, doing his thing as usual. Much appreciation to him. And appreciation most of you guys for make sure you're checking us out. And we appreciate you guys and love it. So keep it up, guys. So till we see you next Tuesday on Steeler Nation Live.